What's up guys, it's me Shamil here, back with another video. Now in this video, I'm gonna show you guys more Theorycraft skills that I've made for Fire Emblem Heroes. Now, I've done this in the past before, being a lot of new skills or just new ideas that I've made. It got a lot of views. Not that I care, I just want to bring my ideas out there for the people to see what I have in mind, because I truly care about Theorycrafting a lot, because you can do a lot with like your ideas and what could actually end up happening in the future. And you know what? I just want to continue that saga and just continue with that said thing. So without further ado, here's some more tier 4 skills that I made and some new skills. Our first skill is Windfire Boost 3. This is a tier 4 boost skill that actually evolves from a tier 3 dual boost skill. Now obviously the boost skill is not that great. It will only give you +6 to its corresponding stat if you have 3 HP more than the foe at the start of combat, which is, it wasn't the worst thing ever, but in this day and age it's really not that great either. Now with the upgrade that I made is that at the start of combat, if units max HP is higher than foe's HP, it will grant attack speed +7 to unit during combat. So that would obviously be a really good effect already. And then additionally, if the unit deals damage, even if it's 0, then he will restore 7 HP. Which honestly is really good, considering that a lot of units with a lot of HP lack something very important, which is stats. And if they really gonna lower, or not lower, if their HP goes below its like good value, I would say, then it kind of goes against the point of like the unit itself, because obviously with high HP, your BST is being more used on the HP rather than the rest of the stats, which leave the rest of the stats a little bit empty. So allowing it to basically regain that HP by meeting a simple HP condition that is based on your max health is really going to be really good for a lot of units that have a lot of HP. These units, for example, could actually use it pretty well. The young boy could actually use this pretty well, considering that he comes with 50 HP base, and with the +10 merge, he actually has 54 HP. Now this entire kit would actually be really good for him. And I'm not really the best with making builds or Theorycraft builds for that case, but for the fact that Windfire Boost 3 is actually going to be really strong for that situation, considering that it's +7 to attack speed for just having more max HP than the foe, it's going to be really good. The only problem with this is that the boost skills would actually be kind of useless for abyssal maps or trying to clear maps in general, considering that the enemies always have like a ton of HP, especially those armored knights with 99. So that's going to be really difficult, but if you can lower the health enough, then it might work for them. In more cases, they might even get this skill to make sure that the enemies are just going to be a lot harder to deal with. The other unit that can also use it well is Zane. Considering that his HP is ridiculously high, you can obviously see that his attack speed, defense res is actually not that high for a +10 unit, especially his attack. For 48 for just being a +10 unit, that's not great honestly, but that's because his Joker Wild, whilst it gives +5 HP, it mainly takes the stats from allies within 2 spaces before combat, meaning that his attack speed and res is actually not real, but it will change into whatever is high from the allies nearby. That was actually going to be really good, considering that the during combat effects like Windfire Boost or maybe something else would actually benefit better in that case. So this would actually work a little bit better, I would say. Defense Rest Mode 3 is just so that the Pathfinder effect could be there, because you know, it would actually not be a bad idea to like get Zane in there, considering that he actually provides a buff that is given to allies instead of just himself. So it actually could work really well. And it definitely will work on Arden, considering that he is the highest HP unit with 60 base HP. With his Refine and +10, he's going up to 67 HP, which is honestly ridiculous. I can't even believe it. He has the highest HP in the whole game, and he's free. He's a GHP unit. And he's actually not bad either. He's got a dual-face Brave weapon that has a guard in it. And considering that, you know, the condition is based on HP being 50% or higher, if his max HP is higher than the foe's, then he could simply regain that HP and never be able to lose the guard. So this kit alone would also work pretty well. Maybe he won't use follow-up ring, but my point stand is that with high HP and good effects that actually provide a good restoration, it could actually work perfectly for him. Especially when his weapon is a brave weapon, he can effectively restore 14 HP from just hitting the enemy twice before his Ignis procs. So yeah, this would actually be a really good skill. Now I don't know if they're gonna actually do this, but I would love them to do something like this. Up next, we got tier 4 Link skills. There is no doubt that these Link skills are not bad, but they're also not the greatest skill ever. It simply just grants a +6 attack speed bonus to the target and the unit you use it on. However, with the tier 4 version, I decided to add the bonus doubler effect to it. Now, this might be a little bit ridiculous because of the fact that it gives twice as many buffs. But let's face the fact that, you know, this is a tier 4 B skill. Now, obviously, it could either be this, or it could be that it could give the bonus to allies within 2 spaces of the unit to target. But I feel like that would not be really fitting for the fact that it's a Link skill. Link mostly is about the person you assist with your movement assist skill. So it actually is more efficient to do that with the bonus doubler rather than the other one. And other than that, I feel like if there was a within 2 spaces effect, that would kind of miss the point of Laszlo, considering that his effect actually provides that effect anyways, but it does not include himself. With this, it can include himself, can give himself bonus doubler as well, so they actually do really well. These units could actually use it perfectly, especially legendary Lucina, considering that her future vision will grant another action to her. It's very simple. And considering that she gains +6 and then another +6 from the bonus doubler from the Link skill, because this future vision 2 is a movement assist skill, it could actually work perfectly. And considering that if you want to do bonus doubler in the seal or also in the A skill, she could actually kill a lot of things with this. Now, obviously, you could go for a better C skill. I did not go for the best one because I couldn't think of it. Maybe Times Pulse is better. Actually, no, Times Pulse is definitely better. I don't know why I did that. But yeah, my point is that, you know, with this kit, you could do a lot. The other unit that I could also use as well is Mordecai, considering that his weapon is all around movement assist skill, considering that he inflicts attack speed defense res -5 and guard on foes within 2 spaces of himself and the target that he assisted on after movement. And considering that with the attack defense link, he could provide a +12 to attack defense effectively, and then could still actually provide a decent effort for himself, considering that with distant foil and close quarter attack. Well, you don't have to close quarter attack, but I did that for the sake of support. But he could actually do combat himself pretty well, considering that he's actually got high defense. And the other unit I could also use pretty well is Ymir, considering that her ever-living breath provides a neutralization to penalties if the assist is moved. And this could be any assist. It could be a movement or a rally assist. Now, this obviously does not count harsh command as such, but that's not the point that I'm making. The fact is that this attack res Link 4 could actually work perfectly with her, considering that she neutralizes penalty, which in most cases is gonna be Panic. And Panic will not interfere with the bonus doubler status effect, meaning that you can actually provide the best bonus from it anyways. So this would actually be a really good skill for them to do, and I kind of hope they do that. But they might go the other way around, where it's 2 spaces of an ally, or 2 spaces, or allies within 2 spaces from the unit and the target you actually use a move and assist skill. But we'll see, because I feel like either one of them would be great. Next up, we got Wyvern and Pegasus Flight 4. Now, these skills have pretty much fallen off, considering that these flow skills, like Flow Feather and Flow Flight, have really just power crept these skills to the maximum, considering that even though the flow skill is a player phase skill only, it provides a better usage, considering that the calculation is made during combat as opposed to being before combat, which is kind of the problem with these Wyvern Flight skills and also the Pegasus Flight skill. Now, with this tier 4 version, I did not fix that specific problem, but I did add something that would actually be really great for it. With that being said, I made sure that the Pegasus Flight is now -10 instead of -7, considering that the Flow Feather also has -7, so it kind of seems weird for them to change that. So at the start of combat, if unit speed is equal height and foe speed -10, inflicts penalty on foe's attack defense during combat equal to 70% of difference between rest stats, which is unit's rest and minus foe's rest, before combat, min 0, max -7. So basically, I kept that idea the same, however, it's no longer 50%, it's 70, meaning that you only need 10 more rest on the foe to inflict -7 attack defense on the foe, which actually is pretty good. And you know, that alone could actually be like a decent skill. However, this is a tier 4 skill, you want to make sure that actually is worth it. So what I did is that it also reduces damage from attacks during combat and from air effect specials, excluding rogue air effect specials, by the percentage of that difference, that res difference, times 4, max 40%. Now I put at the end if air effect special triggers outside of combat check stats for a damage reduction at time of trigger and again during combat. I only put that specifically there because this dodge effect that is based on res is actually calculating both what is before combat if the AoE is there, and then during combat, meaning that the during combat effect, or at least what I should say, is that the dodge effect will actually be during combat instead of it being before combat, meaning that it's actually a better, I wouldn't say it's better, but it actually is the point of dodge, where it doesn't calculate it before combat. For AoE, it will do it before combat because that's the point of it, but during combat it will actually take this one. Now for Wyvern Flight, this would actually be a benefit for it, considering that it already inflicts a defense penalty, or an attack defense penalty, and the fact that it's calculating based on defense, and considering that that defense penalty is being during combat, and that could actually reflect positively on the Wyvern Flight itself, considering that the dodge effect is there, it could actually work perfectly. So it actually synergizes in a way, but honestly, if they do something like this, it would be really smart, considering that these flow skills are all about offense because they have partial no follow-up and just a better effect. Right now it's a tier 3 version, but if the tier 4 version goes all on defensive, then I would kind of see this happening, especially with these 3 builds that I've made here, especially with Valentian S, considering that she is tied with the highest res flyer, melee flyer at least, tied with Fiora, but I didn't want to do Fiora because Fiora is kind of outdated at this date, and you know, she's not that great anymore. Now obviously I know what you're thinking, that she actually comes with Flow Feather, and I don't know why I would change that. It's more of a fact that it shows the flexibility of, you know, if she became a dual phase unit, she could actually make use out of this as well. If distance stands, whilst it does not actually do anything for the condition before combat, it will work both during combat for a dodge effect, considering that, you know, it is an effect that will trigger. And also Phantom Res will actually help out with that condition, considering that, you know, it's a calculation that is based on units res and foes res. So it actually worked perfectly. It could also work perfectly on Valentian Paula, considering that she has ridiculously high defense for a flyer, you know. We did not expect her to have this much defense, considering that, you know, she's mostly known as a Pegasus flyer, but she's got a lot of defense. 40, well, on this build hierarchy right here, it's 47. And considering that with defense res menace, it could actually make that difference even bigger with Wyvern Flight, meaning that damage reduction and the effect from the Lady Blade, which is the calculating damage lower of both defense and res, would actually work perfectly with this. And attack defense catch 3 could also work perfectly with the dodge effect from Wyvern Flight. It would just make sense at this point. And then lastly, we got Ashnarth, who could also use this pretty well. I wouldn't say he would use it the best out of all of these, but I feel like it's really fitting for him, considering that he's got a attack defense range effect in his Gun Grunt weapon, and attack defense range 3 in the C skill. We don't have a hold yet, which is why I didn't put it there, but you can understand my point to the where it actually is very flexible with the damage reduction effect, considering that this would actually allow a more defensive play, which is kind of the point of these Wyvern Flight skills, or maybe the Pegasus play. Maybe that's not the exact point that they want it to be, but I feel like for more flexibility, considering that the flow skills are actually more offensive, this would be more the defensive option, which would be damage reduction, and I think that would actually be perfect. Next, we got Infantry Guard 3, which simply will grant defense res +2 to infantry allies within 2 spaces, and will also inflict guard on their foes during combat. Now, this is actually not the greatest skill I've made, but it's honestly not a bad one either, considering that we have like what is it called? The staff that has the same effect. It's not infantry, it's any ally. but we also got Caden, which is the same effect. I feel like if they want to introduce this as a skill, they're probably gonna do it as an infantry only skill, considering that, you know, infantries, they really like milking infantry units with these kinds of skills. So I feel like they're gonna do this. Sorry for using that word, but you know, my point still stands is that they give infantry more unique skills than the rest, considering that, you know, with infantry no follow-up, you did not give to anyone else, but, you know, you can either get legendary byleth, male byleth, or you could just get infantry no follow-up. So I feel like they're gonna do the same thing with it, so yeah. Units I could actually use as well is specifically Hilda, considering that her new Refine actually allows allies within 2 spaces to gain the wary effect on enemy phase. Considering that, you know, well, not on enemy phase, maybe on enemy phase, but my point is that any ally within 2 spaces can actually make sure that the foe cannot make a follow-up attack because of her Refine. And combining with the Infantry Guard 3, if the ally is at least infantry, this would be a perfect combination with it, considering that you're inflicting guard, you're inflicting a wary effect, and just plus 4 to all stats during that ally's combat, and plus 2 more defense and res. How can you complain about it? It would just be really good. The other unit that I could also use as well is Male Corn, considering that, you know, Yato is a very supportive weapon. It grants plus 4 to his support partner if he's within 2 spaces, and combining it with the fact that the support effect already give a base effect of either 1 or 2 to all stats, with effect like defense res link 4, which is the skill I've mentioned before, the tier 4 link, that would actually be a ridiculously strong combination, considering that, you know, with defense res link 4, it grants a total of 12 defense and res, the Yato gives another 4, then the support will give another 2 or 1 depending on you, so that'd be 17 or 18, and the infantry guard will give it 2 more, meaning that it's either 19 or 20 defense and res from simply from all these effects alone. It will make Corn into a more supportive unit in that way, and it would actually be really good. And let's not forget, the guard is still applied to the foe because it's called infantry guard for a reason. And lastly, we got Brave Lucina, who could also use this pretty well. I wouldn't say that she is the best unit in this case to use it. It would work perfectly with her weapon, considering that it's a drive breath for physical units. It's just at the point where she is not as unique as the other units, considering that we already have effects like this, or have breath effects like this on other units. I could actually use it better in this case, but considering that she's an infantry, she could actually use this pretty well. Infantry guard could provide a good support. It effectively gives a special fighter on enemy phase, which is going to be really great, considering that, you know, guard is really important, and also special charge is really important. If the foe has tempo, then you're kind of screwed for that. But my point is that she could actually provide even more support than she already does with that skill alone, and I would actually be glad if they did this. Next, we got Odd or Even Tempest 4. Now, with Tempest skills, they're kind of weird, considering that at the start of odd or even turns, it will allow you to move an extra space for that one turn. It's definitely not a bad skill, but the one problem that I've always had with these skills is that, you know, when you're really close to the foe at the next time your odd or even turn triggers, you get the extra movement, but then you could either run away from a long distance because of, you know, got the tempo effect, or you can just attack them, and the tempo would be kind of wasted, or the Tempest would be kind of wasted. So what I did is I made it to where it will enable Canter Rem +1 during its specific turn. So Odd Tempest would get Canter Rem +1 during odd numbered turns, and also the extra movement, and Even would do the same thing for even numbered turns. I feel like it worked perfectly for the flexibility of these units, considering that a lot of these units want to do like a hit and run situation, and considering that, you know, infantry units I feel like infantry units would use this skill a lot more than others. I feel like it's very fair for them to gain it. Also, considering the fact that, you know, Canter Rem +1 is actually very fitting, considering that the units that can actually use Tempest is only melee units, and, you know, it's kind of fitting, you know. We don't have to do Rem +1, or we don't have to do Rem without the +1, considering that no one ranged can actually use this, so it worked perfectly, I would say. New units like Legendary Dimitri could use this pretty well, considering that, you know, with distant pressure, he could actually be more of a menace than anything. He could attack and actually move closer if he kills the foe, meaning that he's more of a threat than anything. He could effectively move 4 spaces, but that one space is obviously after combat, and you know, he can't attack for that. But my point still stands is that he could become more of a threat with it, because he can swoop in, he can come even closer with the distant pressure skill, for an example, and he would become even more of a menace because he would be impossible to kill at that moment. We also got a dagger, which could also use it pretty well, considering that, you know, she is Pathfinder, she has Pathfinder in her Skin Foxy weapon, and for the fact that, you know, she can actually swoop in and move back a space or 2 if she just doesn't move a lot. But my point is that, you know, with the fact that if she gains Canto, she can actually use that movement to make sure that the allies around her could actually make use of the Pathfinder more frequently, considering that, you know, if she uses Even Tempest and she attacks from far, she can't really move back because, you know, she's far away and no one can actually reach her unless they are cavalry, which in that case it's kind of a risky move anyways. But my point is that it would actually be perfect for her, considering that Pathfinder, you want to move closer, and that way you can actually provide a better buff, or a better movement assist, I would say. And the other unit that would actually use it pretty well is Soleil. It's a weird one because, you know, Soleil would obviously like Times Pulse, and I don't know why you would change that out. But consider this, on even turns, she could actually come in, will attack, maybe Gale Force will trigger, they will attack anyone near it. It's either the same foe or a foe that's like adjacent to them, can attack them, it can move back, meaning that she actually is no longer in danger in that case. It would actually work perfectly if you think about it. It's a really good combination, and I would actually like to use that if it's going to be the case for one thing. This might not happen because Cantor is like such an outlandish effect to put on a Tempest skill, but honestly, I would love them to do that, considering that the problem being that, you know, it's only on odd even turns, and even then it might not be useful because you're already close to the enemy. So yeah, it would be perfect for them to do this. Next, we got tier 4 Ruse skills. Now, Ruse skills are already pretty good, but I feel like we can make them even better. Now, with this tier 4 skill, if a rally assist skill is used by unit or target unit, it will inflict attacks with -6 and guard on foes within 3 columns, and 3 row center on unit and target through the next action. Now, this is a big upgrade, considering that, you know, it's no longer -5, it's -6. That's not the big upgrade that I'm referring to. It's the fact that it's now a 3x3 cross as opposed to just being cardinal, which is a 1x1 cross. This would actually allow a lot more flexibility with the ability to move with order effects, because, you know, attack speed 04 allows you to move to a space adjacent. It could actually work perfectly with this, allowing you to inflict a bigger penalty on the foes, which is kind of the point of this, you know. So it'd be really strong. Units like Apotheosis Anna would actually use this pretty well. In this build you see here, we don't have the Apotheosis Spear, or the Lance, I don't know what it's called again, but I feel like we have attack speed 04. It's kind of better in this case. I'm sorry if any of you get offended, but I feel like a lot of people will agree with me that her weapon's kind of outdated at this point, and we have a literal skill that just does that, but better. So obviously that could be the case. She could either be offensive in whatever you want, or she could use the Ruse skill. And considering that she comes with attack speed Ruse 3, just plop that on there, rally attack speed, and you know what? It will work perfectly. The same will actually apply to Astrid, considering that, you know, with her damn mill bow, she can actually grant another another space to the target, and also bonus doubler, because why not? That's funny. I like that. Thank you. So it would actually work perfectly because of the radius that it's now bigger. Maybe that allows for a better target to attack, which is honestly kind of the point, because with the Ruse you want to attack anyone that is nearby and just take them out with your attacking, or with you initiating at least, because, you know, the point of the Ruse is to literally prevent the foe from gaining the special, which in most cases could be either offensive, but in most cases it's defensive, because we have so many save skills these days, and, you know, it could actually work perfectly for it. The other unit that could actually use it pretty well is Sane. Now, I know Sane comes with a flow skill, and that would arguably be better, but considering the fact that his Jolly J Lance grants him another action after he rallies once, it would perfectly work for him, considering that he can ruse someone and then attack them immediately, and maybe move back, because he actually comes with cancel rank +1 in his weapon. This would actually be a really good combination. Defense Rest Smoke 3 would also be a neat thing to have on top of it, because you know that still allows you to go against these foes with guard inflicted, because of the fact that, you know, it's such a big radius. You could actually inflict a lot of guard on the foe, at least, or just from a big radius. So it would actually work pretty well. They may not do this early, but I kind of want them to do this. Up next, we got Attack Speed Reversal, which is an upgrade from low attack speed. It will inflict attack speed -4 and a penalty on foe's attack speed during combat equal to current bonus on each foe's stats ×2. Example, if foe has +7 bonus to attack, it inflicts attack -14 for a net penalty of attack -11, and it will calculate the stat penalty independently. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is kind of a side grade, and I would kind of agree with you on that, considering that this effect is obviously like better when it comes to debuffing, because this straight up takes the foe's bonuses and turns them into a penalty, considering that the low skill just neutralizes the bonuses entirely. This is what effectively this skill lacks, because it no longer neutralizes the bonuses, which allows them to actually gain an effect based on either bonuses or something else. But you get my point. The point is that it no longer neutralizes bonuses on the foe, but instead will inflict a penalty that is twice as big as their bonuses, which is actually, it's arguably better, but when it comes to effects that want to trigger for bonus and such, it's not better. But I feel like it would actually work really well with these units specifically. Like the Thief Calf, her weapon basically allows her to steal the bonuses of the foe. But the thing is that the bonuses is still there, but it just inflicts a penalty based on their bonuses. Now with the Attack Speed Reversal, it could actually inflict a twice as big, or not twice, a penalty that is 3 times as big as it originally was. Because for example, if the foe had +6 attack and speed, the Lofty Fleet would actually inflict -6 on those stats, and then the reversal will inflict -12, which is effectively -18 from already +6, which means it's a net from -12. So this would actually be a really good combination and such. Legault would also use it pretty well, considering that his weapon is based on foes' bonuses, or at least his base effect, because he gains bonus attack based on foes' bonuses, and also his weapon will trigger if the foe has a bonus. Now the Speed Defense Reversal will not neutralize these bonuses, because the bonuses are technically still there. It's just a penalty that is inflicted that is twice as big as them. So he could still make use out of these effects and just be a menace to society at this point. And lastly, we got Legion, which honestly, he could use the best thing, considering that his Sneering Axe is basically what Speed Defense Reversal does anyways, except it's on all stats. It will inflict a penalty based on foes' bonuses ×2, whilst the Beast Skill is the same thing, so it will effectively inflict a penalty 4 times as big as their bonus, meaning that a +6 will turn into -18 effectively, meaning that it's actually one of the better skills. Now obviously, with the Sneering Axe, he inflicts panic after combat, which kind of ruins the whole combination, but let's not forget that that combination happened. It's still going to be ridiculously strong if he's going to have that. And lastly, we have a special called Divine Bane. It's 2 cooldown, and it will boost damage by 20% of the unit's attack. But if the foe in combat is not a beast or dragon, it will boost by 40% instead of 20. Now, I know what you're thinking, this is like a literal reverse from Ruptured Sky, and I'm not going to deny that. Considering that beasts and dragons don't have really a skill that's exclusive to them only, I decided to make that for them, but instead make it in the form of like the opposite of Ruptured Sky, which in this case it doesn't take foe's attack, it takes their own attack, and it will check if the foe is not a beast or dragon, meaning that you kind of don't want to fight people on of your own kind, which is kind of funny if you think about it. So obviously this skill is only for dragon and beast, like I said, so it would be really good. It would be a really good skill. For example, Pain, I don't know how you say her name exactly. You can roast me all you want for that, but she could use this pretty well, because her base weapon actually checks if the foe is not a beast. If the foe is not a beast or dragon, which in this case is actually perfect, because if you think about it, you know, she gets +12 to all of her stats, And Divine Bane will effectively increase that attack, but considering that her attack is already low, she's still getting a ton of attack from it. So I would not argue that this is a good combination, and it would synergize perfectly. The other unit that could also use it well is Naga. Naga would actually use this even better if you think about it. But in a way, she cannot use it better. Because in the way I say it, because Divine Bane checks if the foe is not a beast or dragon, because that will allow for 40% instead of 20. Now with the thing is that she is effective against dragons, meaning that it kind of doesn't matter. So if the foe is a dragon, yeah, its effective damage, which is 50% more, but the Divine Bane is only 20, which doesn't matter, because you know, yeah, you're effective against the foe anyway. So you don't need that extra damage. It's just a little bit. It's not twice as big. But the example, if the foe is not a dragon, then the Divine Bane will just go 40%, which is exactly a combination that you want because, you know, it's working perfectly. And lastly, Tiki, who is like the same idea as Naga, he's also effective against dragons, and considering that, you know, she has defense res menace, she could actually inflict, with this kit being defense res menace, could actually work perfectly with a frost fire breath, because of the fact that it's literally a blade tome, but based on defense and res. If you gave her Dive Bomb and Surge Sparrow, this would be an insane combination, making her unstoppable on player face, because, you know, she eats a ton of attack and speed, mainly attack, but also just ruins your health, because of the Divine Bane just rips through all of your HP with the fact that your attack is being buffed to the maximum in this case. And that has been it for my Theorycraft video. I hope you guys have enjoyed and you want to see more of this. If you do want to see more, make sure to subscribe. I do more fake content on this channel, and I want to do more, obviously. I also have a second channel, which is where I do gaming, other games, because mainly on this channel I do Fire Emblem Heroes related stuff. But I hope you guys understand that, you know, this video took a while to make, mainly because of the fact that, you know, Theorycrafts take a while if you want to really make something really out of your reach, at least, or just be so unique to the point where it's ridiculously different from what you expect. Then it's gonna take a while to think about it, and you know what, if you want to make it fair as well, that is how you do it. Now, I would argue maybe not a lot of these skills are fair, because, you know, these could easily just be breaking the game at this point. But, you know, it always comes to the point where, you know, Theorycrafting is for fun. They don't have to be real, they don't have to be they don't have to be a reality. It's as long as you're having fun, you can just enjoy what you're doing. And I am having fun making Theorycrafts because this allows me to show you guys my ideas that I have for Fire Emblem Heroes, because, you know, it's really fun to make stuff, and, you know, if you write about it, it's even better. But like I said, it's just for fun. So I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.